welcome back to another episode of the Startup Junkies podcast. Thank you for tuning in, however, and from wherever you are tuning in to us today. My name is Caleb Talley. I am a Startup Junkie and a co-host of the show. I'm joined by my fellow co-hosts, Victoria Dickerson and Jeff Amerine. How's it going, y'all?
It's going good.
Happy 2023.
Absolutely. First podcast of the new year. Wow. And we are excited to be joined by someone we know through reputation. I'm sure we'll be great friends. Nate Walls, how's it going?
It's going real good. I'm honored to be here.
Well, we are honored.
I'm the first. Everyone wants to be the first or not. I don't know. It just depends on how this goes.
Yep.
Well, we're honored to have you here for our first podcast of 2023. Nate is the founder of Secondhand Smoke, BBQ master, and Second Helping NWA. And we'll get to all of those, I'm sure, here in just a minute. Absolutely. But Nate, who's Nate Walls? Tell us the Nate Walls origin story, the genesis.
Well, so it started in St. Louis. I went into the system. I got adopted by a lady in Stuttgart, Arkansas, and she had a little juke joint, and so I was grandfathered into that soul food, and you know it gets into your blood. Mm-hmm. So I've been cooking since I was like 6 years old, and she was fire and brimstone. So you know how kids that brought up in church, you know they gonna give it hell. So and I did that, got into all kinds of trouble. So just through the road, went to the United States Army. Cooked there, in which I said I would never cook again when I left my mom's house. So I showed her. So we, I did the Army, got out, got into drugs, a lot of drugs, and drinking, and I got married, started having kids, and it got serious. So I was battling with alcohol addiction for a long time. The drugs kind of stopped when I got married, but the alcohol addiction started. Did some other things, did some drug dealing, and just trying to make ends meet. And I decided to go to church. Me and my wife decided to go to church. And I met this pastor who was doing all this good stuff in the community. And actually, originally, I wanted to, I wanted to see what was really going on. You know, I wanted to pull back the veil. You know, because it's not good. Because I had not a terrible time with religion, but I saw things that I shouldn't have saw, and it kind of give you a bad taste in your mouth. So that's how I really got to believing in community, just feeding people and really doing something good and not worrying about myself. You know, up until that point, it was all about me and what I wanted to do and all that. And so I just immersed myself in helping people. I wasn't, and at this time I was still drinking. Later on, I got into Alcoholics Anonymous, which just it saved my life, you know. Mm-hmm. And during that time, it was weird because I think when you talk about enablers, my wife was so used to me drinking, that was part of the routine. Mm. And so when I stopped drinking, it kind of, and in a weird way, ended my marriage. So we during COVID, we took $1,000. And that was, I'm gonna say this, I didn't believe in COVID. I thought it was just I even made a video, man, y'all just need to wash y'all hands. You know, it was, I was stupid. And we took about $1,000. A guy named Carl Dunn called me and said, we ought to do that. And I said, no, he said somebody ought to do it. And I said, well, somebody's got to be us. And we went out to underserved communities, people that's just trying, they're struggling, but it's more a month than money. And just started with stuff I grew up with, just comfort food, you know, and start passing it out, and they just absolutely loved it. You gave them 20 minutes of just being normal, not struggling, not nothing, just enjoying a meal and just had that moment. So we started doing more and more. People started sending like non-perishables and stuff, and I guess somebody saw it and started sending money, and actually somebody funded my nonprofit, a 501c3, and so we just started cranking it out. Jeremy Gotham from Woodstone started helping me with some things, and more people, Denise Garner, of course, and Hershey, and just feeding people. And during the time, in this crazy time, my brother died of complications due to COVID, and like not too long after that, my wife just actually left. You know what I'm saying? Through that, so I was embraced by Lakeisha, Bradley, and Stacy Harper, and they have nonprofits, and Lakeisha got My Tea by Design, and I started going to therapy and all that good stuff. So now I can be solid in the community, and not be triggered when I go out, because I was raised in that kind of environment. So we've been feeding and learning as we go. I'm so glad you guys are around, because everybody doesn't have those kind of tools. And if I would have had it to do all over again, I would have hit y'all up, because it was a nightmare as far as not knowing what to charge people. Not knowing your value, not knowing about marketing, advertising, taxes, and they're real. I don't care if you believe in them or not. It's like Christmas. It's real. So
they're gonna collect.
You got that's basically it. And that's we're here in 2023, still going strong, still just trying to plow away, but yeah, you guys, that's needed. Yeah.
Well, what you're doing is needed too. And so, in kind of hearing you tell that timeline of that story, which kind of came first? Was it Secondhand Smoke or the Second Helping? Kind of how would that kind of the genesis?
It was Secondhand Smoke.
Okay.
Yeah. I started making little videos and stuff of me cooking, and I started on a little. I want to say it was like a 22-inch. Grill, just grilling, and I started going in 2017. We started, and I started going to people for free. I was the designated griller, because people was starting little fires at their barbecue. Because if you're drunk, you think you can barbecue. Oh, I'm knocking this out. Yeah, you are knocking this out. And so I started doing that.
Changing out the grease pan underneath.
Yeah. Stop that. And so we just, they started paying me for it, which is really weird. And then they asked me about sides, and I started getting orders for that. I had a little makeshift business card and stuff. It looked real bad. It looked like a lunch ticket. Remember the lunch ticket?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we started off from there, and it was all about, I always wanted to model, the leftovers. I would take them to the community. So in some sense or another, I was always wanting to do that.
Right.
Just by I made, prayed to God that if I ever got in a position to help people, I would help people in the environment that I came from. So since 2017, we've been doing that, and then and so I think we're at 5 years now. So
that's incredible.
It's doing really well now. Yeah.
What's your favorite thing that you make?
Brisket.
I know that. What's that? Brisket.
Brisket.
Brisket. Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably my favorite thing to eat.
Yeah.
Only because it's so complicated.
Yeah.
To learn.
It's easy to mess it up, right?
It really is, and it's got no chill. That stuff is expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that's my favorite thing to make, but my favorite thing to eat is the ribs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love ribs.
Now, are you a fan of dry rub, or do you do sauce? What's your? This is the whole Memphis versus Kansas City versus Texas thing, right?
I do dry rub, and I do the wet. You know, if I'm doing a big event, I'll do like a dry rub because people want to add, and maybe you don't like sauce or that thing, which is really, I don't know what to say about that. but I'll do both.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I do both on is like the ribs.
Gotcha.
You know, everything else I want sauce.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's just smoked with mesquite and a mesquite and apple. I shadowed a guy in Houston who did these big fairs.
Right.
I shadowed him for about 2 months, and I learned a lot of stuff with mesquite. And I was like, well, it's a little bit different in Arkansas, so let's do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's great. And it's low and slow?
Low and slow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Low and slow.
These are the few things I'm
Yeah.
watching
Now-
the people do it. I couldn't do it. But
I gotta tell you, I can't smoke anything for like 16 hours. You know, I hear people saying they smoke a brisket for no, no, we're not doing that over here. I mean, I'll give it 12 or 13 hours, and I cook mostly to temperature and not time.
I got you.
You know what I mean? Not.
That's the important part, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You need to get to that sweet time, and then you good. You're good.
That's making me hungry.
I've had lunch. I'm hungry all over again. So, and just tell us about that, kind of how that's been, how the community's kind of received that work that you're doing, and kind of what the last few months. I know you said you really got revving up with that community giving back during COVID. So now in these times, kind of, you know, technically post-COVID, if you want to say, what's it kind of looking like now?
We've just finished. You know, it was a Trails of Love, a Christmas event with Stacey Harper and Lakeisha and so many other people. Pepsi gave us $20,000, and Woodstone did so much and allowed the community to drop off toys and stuff. The toy drive was phenomenal. Just different people in the community that just wanted to help and didn't know how. And that was the main thing in the beginning initially. Nobody knew how, and all that George Floyd stuff was going on. So it gave people a way to give back and not. It was just volatile at that time.
Yeah,
So if anything, I think it galvanized us a little bit. And as far as Second Helping, we've been trying to do the events as best we can. Now I am taking an intermission to actually learn the nonprofit part from the grants and all of that stuff. How do you do this in this climate? Ask for money. I'm not naturally a person to ask for money, but I had to come to a realization that I'm not asking for me.
Sure, that's right.
That's a good point.
I'm asking for these families that just can't get around the curve. You know what I mean? That and kids, when you see kids and just barely eating, and when kids come up to you in the grocery store and they say, "You the food man," and so that just drives us all to keep on doing that. So we want to start growing, but then again, I was talking about I got to take an intermission. Let's stop and learn what we're doing. And again, man, people like, oh, what you guys do? Man, if I would have had that, I don't know, and you don't know, where to get resources either. You know, I don't know this, and nobody knows I don't know that, and you don't want to say you don't know about it.
Sure.
And so you just kind of out there in limbo and stuff, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to sit down for about 2 months and shadow some people, find out what we can and can't do and who we are. You know, this is what we identify ourselves and say 5 years from now, this is what we want. Do we want a soup kitchen or what do we want? Do we want to have space for people to come in and just talk about what else is going on the other side of food? You know, those kind of things. But we won't know that if we keep feeding and don't kind of chill for a minute
really assess
and kind of get your mind together.
Think about your strategy and your long-term plan and what your vision is and all that. It's
Exactly.
really important. To have
Exactly.
That,
The
have that
playbook
goal. Yeah.
is as important as the team You know, it's so many people trying to help us, but we got to know what we're doing first, or we just spinning our wheels. So.
Building a plane while you're flying it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I took that from Jeff, I think.
Or jumping off the cliff with the parachute parts and assembling it on the way down, right? It's kind of the same thing. But.
So how do you envision, I guess, Secondhand Smoke as a for-profit business in conjunction with, Second Helping? Like, what do you see for yourself? I know you obviously are plugged into the community and you're driven by a desire to give back. How do you square, I guess, the two, kind of running a for-profit business and trying to give back to the community at the same time? How do you delineate your time? Because there's only so much time that you have.
I know. That's part of what we're building. If we can build a team, so the meals don't stop just because I have an event to do on this side. Because, they're fighting each other. Sometimes Second Helping wins, sometimes Secondhand Smoke win. And a lot of times, Secondhand Smoke has funded Second Helping. So that's a catch-22, and if we can get some regular people, it will always be volunteers. But you want to have a team built that's going to get the meals, regardless of what I'm doing over here, regardless of what the Secondhand Smoke team is doing. So
That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's a good question. Yeah.
Keep up to date on the latest news and economic development with the Arkansas Economic Development Commission's Arkansas Inc. newsletter. Each month, get the Arkansas Inc. newsletter, which spotlights the latest project wins and developments throughout the state, delivered to your email. The newsletter features major project announcements, company expansions and relocations, news articles, rankings, and more that highlight why Arkansas is a great state to do business. The newsletter is a snapshot of what AEDC has been working on and what we are following. The Quarterly Tech Trends newsletter highlights the latest news in Arkansas's growing tech sector. You can learn about new Arkansas tech companies, computer science and cybersecurity initiatives, funding and venture capital announcements, and even more. AEDC offers 4 quarterly newsletters: the Food and Beverage Industry Digest, Aerospace and Defense Beacon, Timber Trends, and Tech Trends. To learn more or sign up for a newsletter, visit arkansasedc.com/news.
Well, it's obvious from the way that you talk that community, both in your story and how you've gotten here, has been so important to you, and it's also a huge driver for what you do. Why you do what you do is to serve the community. Yeah. So what would you say to someone who's interested in starting either a nonprofit or a for-profit? What would you say about the importance of community to you, or what would you say to them?
I think that people say all the time, it's the people, but it really is the people. If you don't have a good rapport with the community, I don't know that you can make it, a long game. Because there are people that do things and they really don't like people. I don't know if that's the way. I don't know if that's the game you need to play, because you have to. I couldn't do it without the people. The people that volunteer, the people that help on the Secondhand Smoke side, the people that have conversations with me about food and about family, and some people just ask me about their relationship and stuff. And I don't know why I can't keep it. But you have to really, especially NWA. It's something special about NWA, and it's really carved into community.
I agree.
So I think that that really getting to know this community, knowing what's going on, and really caring, and they can tell if you're genuine or not. So I would say community, number one. Get into community. Know who you're building it for. If you don't know that, find out from other people what this community and the design of the blueprint. If you're coming from outside, I would say get to know people. if you're not a Razorback fan, I don't.
You need to move,
God
right?
help
I think you have a shelf life. Yeah. So I would say to people starting out, get in touch with your community, and just do. I mean, whatever you do it for everybody. I really don't like businesses that kind of geared towards one group. You know, I understand it. You know, some things are high end and something, but I don't really gear towards one dynamic. You know what I'm saying? Dynamic. That's why in our menu it kind of reflects that. It's soul-ish, but it's not soul food. You know, we got a vegan option, and we got all kind of different salads and
You
stuff.
make it approachable to a lot of people.
Yeah. I don't believe in kind of singling people out and that. I want everybody to be as comfortable with our food as they are with me or the workers, and I want the workers to treat people right.
That's building a culture.
That's what it is.
Will last, right?
That's what
and
it
it's
is.
a reflection of you. It feels like, and this is true for lots of entrepreneurs, that you had this kind of winding path to get to where you are today.
Oh yeah.
Do you feel like this is a calling? That this is
I would say so.
That this is where you needed to be, and
Yeah.
you had to kind of go on that winding path to realize it, right?
Yeah, I think that I had to take those falls, you know, to really understand the implications there. What can happen if you don't make the right decision, if you don't treat people wisely. I had to do that, and I think that people understand that and believe in people that have made mistakes and say, okay, that's not the way, and I'm gonna straighten this out. And I've been open with it.
Sure.
You know, I haven't been trying to hide it, and I'm just being genuine that you can do it, but you have to do it the right way. You can't take corners and all that stuff. You know, I want overnight success we was talking about. Yeah. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't.
Yeah. Just love people, and whatever your trade is or business you're trying to start, just make sure that love is apparent in what you do. Yeah.
Well, I've appreciated your transparency just since you've walked in. You've been so open about your story and your background. And even whenever you walked in, you mentioned how it wasn't natural for you to talk about yourself or about your story, but you got over that hurdle because people need to hear it. And so I've appreciated that. And I also think that it's important for other business owners to understand that their story is their strength, and that people want to buy from a person, not just a business with no name or no face on it. And so I've appreciated your transparency ever since you walked in through the store. So
I believe that people buy from people. You know, I think they buy. I mean, you can get barbecue from a lot of places,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I believe that the story is important, and I think you should keep telling that story, because there's somebody that's listened to that story and said, I don't think I can, because no, I heard the story, so I know I can. If he did it, I can do it too. You know, I've been through this, I've been through that. And don't let that limit. The only limit is yourself.
The constraints you're willing to accept, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And also, it was kind of something that stood out that you talked about a little bit. You shadowed somebody in Houston, shadowing some other individuals, looking at shadowing to learn a little bit more about the nonprofit process. I think that's so important for somebody that wants to get into start a business within any industry, is to understand the industry and, you know, work within it to some extent. Talk a little bit about your willingness to go in and just be a fly on the wall and shadow and kind of take that back seat and learn from others. And also, as it translates to a would-be aspiring entrepreneur, to be willing to say, I'm not the expert at this. I need to go sit down and shut up and listen for a little bit.
I think when we start, we have this ego, like I know it, but you have to say I don't know everything. You can't. You have to be humble and say I don't know everything, but I can learn. if you're not able to do that, it's going to be slow moving. And people have been so open around here. Usually people are not like that. like I ain't telling you nothing. But they haven't been like that around here, and that's pretty awesome because they believe in what we're trying to do, you know. And that's just going to make the NWA better. But if you see somebody, you never ever get in the room and you're the smartest person. If you're the smartest person, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
You have to do that to get better. I know it messes with people a little bit as far as their ego and stuff, but you have to do that to grow. So, I would say just eat it, swallow it, and just follow people. And again, the people thing. You have to make a relationship. Building relationship has got to be number one. It's got to be the number one thing. Yeah.
And my follow-up question, can I come shadow you, make some brisket?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get on down. I make some rib tip that's kind of complicated, too.
You're going to have to bring some of your peppers or some other special ingredients,
What?
right?
Yeah, I grow some peppers.
Yeah, he grows
during the
peppers.
summer,
He's got a green
sauce
thumb.
and hot
I know you
sauces and stuff.
No,
I'll have to bring you
delicious.
some hot sauce samples and some salsa samples.
Oh, we got to talk. I love hot sauce.
great stuff.
And so on my wings, I smoke them, and then I started the honey sriracha, and then after they smoked, I'll flash fry them and whip them up with the honey sriracha.
That sounds really good.
Game over.
You're killing me. This shit sounds so good.
I know who's catering our next catered event.
Absolutely.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
Talk about and I know we're going to get back in the menu a little bit, but since we've talked about all the cool main courses and whatnot, what about the desserts? You do the dessert side of it too? Talk about your favorite desserts.
You know what? Somebody just asked me yesterday. I did an event yesterday, and they said, "Do you do desserts?" And I told them I wasn't paying attention when my mama was doing that. But that's gonna be 2023. I want to get
Adding that in, right?
I want to start adding that in.
That's
I know a lot of people that do desserts, and usually if we got a big event like we just did a Razorback event, and she came in and brought some pie. Oh my God, she's wonderful. but I think that I can get some peach cobbler going, some fried pies going, and maybe some sweet potato pies or something like that.
Oh man,
Fried pies sound good too.
Yeah, so
Fried pies complement, I think, some barbecue, some brisket really well.
absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
So what's next after, what's the, I know you've about to go take a hiatus and kind of shadow to learn nonprofit work. What's you talked about what's 2023, what's 2024, 2025?
I think, at the end of the day, I do want to establish a science of catering. People ask me all the time about food trucks and restaurants. I do want a home, but I want to stick with the catering for a while and just specialize. There's a lot of people. I do this, but I do catering too. I want to do catering
And just dominate
and just
that,
make
right?
it
Yep.
an art. Some southern stuff, not fancy, but I do like doing fancy stuff. But just kind of lock in on that. There's people around here that have so many memories, and they'll invite you to the memories if you can just make it really special for them.
Can you
point.
partner with NWAC and some of the other groups to get a whole kind of flow of talent that are focused on doing catering right and doing it well, so you can grow new talent in that area?
That's a good idea. This is my new marketing guy. You don't know that.
I got all the questions, but I got no answers.
That is a really good idea. And also, I know that NWAC does a lot of training students too. And so I know if you know anything, I try to employ a lot of kids, and just that confidence of them being able to make their own money and really meet a lot of people. That's how you crack your voice and meeting people.
Sure.
That's rough. That's rough to start talking to people if you're not that kind of person.
Sure.
And so that gives them confidence. That gives them the security to say, I made this money and that's how it feels. You don't have to worry about getting into a lot of kids from underserved communities. They get, and that's why they get into like crime and stuff like that, and stealing and all that. If you're doing a better way, a positive way, then that kind of thing doesn't navigate through your brain.
Yeah, and if you catch them early enough,
Yes.
get them involved when they're in high school and
Yes.
show them a different pathway, it can really make a difference.
Yeah, I think kids care about what you care about.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, a lot of parents want a babysitter. They don't know where the kids is. And then that's how it kind of, it kind of takes some feed on it, and then it just takes off from there.
Absolutely.
Time to land the plane.
Yeah. So, a question we like to ask all of our guests when they come on the show is, if you had a time machine or opportunity to go back in time, whether it's 2017 or beyond, to speak to your younger self, what advice would you give your younger self, knowing all that you know now?
I would go back to probably 1984. I was about 15. It's okay to be intelligent. Back when I was in high school and stuff, like I would actually lie about my grades and stuff, just because it was better to be cool than smart. You know what I mean? And it's a shame, and it seemed like I wouldn't do that, but in those spaces, and I still see them when I go to places in the community, that they're just trying to fit in. And it's even worse now with social media. I would say to that younger self, it's okay to have creativity, and it's okay to be smart and let that shine, so you can get into the right cliques. And so I worried about football, and I worried about girls, and I worried about I mean, those were my top three, and I worried about being cool. That's not okay. I wasn't, and I raised my girls just the opposite. Just let's concentrate on the education first, and everything else to take care of itself. So I would say that, in a sense, that's saying be more secure in yourself. I would tell that guy that. Yeah.
Great answer.
That's great.
Nah, that's great.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Man, it's been a pleasure.
Where can our audience find out more about you and all that you're doing? What's the best way for them to find you?
Okay, so we got a website on the for-profit side of Secondhand Smoke, NWA.com, and Second Helping NWA.com. You can volunteer on that side and donate, and we really need those donations to just keep people dialed in on, just feeding them. But we want to see how they're doing. I mean, legitimately want to know how they're doing. And please follow us on IG, Second Helping NWA and Secondhand Smoke NWA. We try to do the videos and talk to everybody and see how people are doing. We're gonna be down for a couple of months. Secondhand Smoke will still be going, because apparently people still want their money from electric and stuff. So we're still gonna be doing that. But we're going down. But we're gonna be back up even stronger, because it's all, I've got this tagline. It's a we thing, but it really isn't. The power of this community is tremendous. So I just got, I just want to take some time to thank the NWA for that, and you guys for letting me be on here and run my mouth.
Thanks for
Absolutely.
coming on.
Thanks
No,
for
it was
coming
great.
on.
Love
Best
having
of
you
luck.
on.
And we're going to have to collaborate on. I'm so hungry now. We're going to have you come cater something for us. We appreciate all you do.
Man,
Thanks
you
for
guys
coming
so
on. You
much.
bet. You bet. Ecosystem builders, entrepreneurs, chambers of commerce, mayors. If you're interested in taking your economic future into your own hands, we've got a book that can help you. Creating Startup Junkies, Building Sustainable Venture Ecosystems in Unexpected Places is the guide. It's a little bit inspiration. It's a little bit toolkit. What it will allow you to do is take your economic future into your own hands and build a sustainable small business, innovation, and entrepreneurial ecosystem in your backyard. If you'd like to hear more, check out creatingstartupjunkies.com. The Startup Junkie podcast reaches over 100 countries and has had over 100,000 downloads. If you're interested in reaching some of the most motivated and engaged innovators and entrepreneurs on a worldwide basis, give us a shout.